Chapter 177 to 182. Mikoto just got a massive power boost and I'm not even sure I can beat her at this point. I mean, she has the fucking Saitama skill. There's just no counter to that. Unless I spontaneously get a Goku ultimate skill. Will she become one spark woman? Cos punching isn't really Mikoto's thing. Gasp. Rimuru, please tell me she won't go bald. I mean, I'd still love her if she went bald, but I like her tea-colored hair. Ilya, don't worry, Oniai-chan. Becoming a demon lord means she becomes a spiritual entity. If she wants hair, she'll have it. Ilya snickers to herself as she explains, removing my worries. Thank goodness. Shizu, Naya. Shizu was in the middle of licking herself, cleaning her fur from all the dust that accumulated from the fight with Bryce, when suddenly she stops licking herself and looks into the air. Suddenly, her golden eyes widen and she blinks them twice before tilting her head. My god, she's about as cute as Ilya. And then she fucking died. Cough. No, she didn't. But she did fall asleep and fall over without any warning and very quickly. I was panicking a bit before I remembered something that happens to every recently born demon lord. The Harvest Festival. A Harvest Festival is an event that occurs once all the requirements for the evolution to a true demon lord are met. Once it is about to begin, the voice of the world will announce it and it will start immediately and cannot be stopped even by the one undergoing the evolution. Mikoto is going through the Harvest Festival right now. Her evolution and acquirement of her ultimate skill itself is a process of the festival. Subordinates of the one undergoing the festival also receive gifts. Specifically, everyone who is connected to the one undergoing the festival through a soul corridor. The simplest way to connect someone to you through a soul corridor is to name them. And Shizu was named by Mikoto. Shizu probably heard the voice of the world before falling unconscious as she receives her gifts. Hee hee. I realized what was happening before anyone had to tell me. I'm smart. A/N, rapidly pressing X. I pick Shizu up from the floor and absent-mindedly stroke her small body. She barely grew, now that I think about it. She's still around the size of a kitten, so it's easy to carry her in my arms. I continue to look at Mikoto's body obscured in a cocoon of white lightning compressed to insane degrees due to the protection field I erected around her. I doubt putting up that field is going to be detrimental to her, otherwise Ilya would say something. I'm really going to miss that couch. Before long, the lightning begins to calm down. Soon, Mikoto's body reveals itself and all that's left is some small sparks of lightning arcing off her skin. She doesn't look much different. I feel like her skin became clearer. Her hair became much smoother, but it didn't grow longer or anything. Her biggest change would have to be her body. Specifically, her female parts. Her bust got bigger, if only barely. I can only tell since I stare at them absent-mindedly every now and again. Spark. Her hips and waist also shifted into a more perfect proportion. Her tush also grew more full, again, not by much, but it's noticeable. And her legs, well, they were perfect as they were, so nothing really changed. It seems as self-conscious as Mikoto is with her body, she subconsciously kept her overall appearance the same. Perhaps, as she grows older, her Saitama ultimate skill will allow her to break her limits and grow bigger in all the right aspects. I'm looking forward to it, but Mikoto is fine as she is right now. Like, really. More than you would think. I'm even salivating. If before Mikoto was a 9-10 losing only to Shizue, then now she's a 10-10 country toppling beauty comparable to her. Suddenly, Mikoto's eyelids twitch. A sign she's waking up. I nearly drop Shizu onto the floor as I drop the protective field around Mikoto and walk towards her, kneeling beside the still completely intact couch. What the fuck? How did this couch survive? It's unscathed. Mikoto's eyes flutter open, revealing her eyes that are the same color as her hair. I see some electricity dancing within them, making for a mesmerizing sight. Her eyes meet mine. I smile. Rimuru, welcome back Miko dash. Mikoto, Rimuru. Again. Mikoto leaps at me and throws her arms around my neck, surprising me. I didn't expect her to make such movements right after she evolved. I doubt she's going to let go anytime soon, even with Cheyenne and Shuna giving death stares at her. But they stopped when, very quickly, Mikoto started crying. A lot. Kingu Kyurumuzan. Time skip. Rimuru, did someone just do a time skip? Ilya, it's just your imagination, Oniai-chan. Oh. Well, I feel the compulsive need to explain what literally just happened, so I thought that. You know what? I shouldn't think about it. Anyway, not much happened. Mikoto literally cried herself to sleep and very quickly, everyone else followed. The females let their emotions show and started crying while the males held it in, except Gabuta and Gabble, they were crying louder than the females. Even Pikachu reappeared and hugged Mikoto's arm, not letting go. Why were they acting like this? It's simple. It's because they just came out of a life or death battle and the people who they thought they lost came back without a scratch. Even Cheyenne, who tried to hold her tears back at first, eventually succumbed when the reality of the situation fully sunk in. And then they all fell asleep. They found a couch, I didn't know I had this many couches in my house, dropped down on it and slept. They deserve it. They may be fine physically from all the healing done, but mentally, they must be exhausted. It's been a rush of emotions for them. But if I had one complaint, it's about how awkward this situation is since everyone is asleep and I'm still awake, standing here like that Mike Wazowski meme. Well, Ilya is here with me so it's not all bad. I sit down next to a sleeping Mikoto, Pikachu is still hugging her arm, with Ilya on my lap and I pat both of their heads. Ilya transformed back into her normal form from her dress of heaven. Don't ask me where Shizu went, she disappeared with her bullshit cat powers even while asleep. Hold on, I just remembered something important. I lift Ilya off my lap and place her beside me as I jump up and use my spatial ruler skill. A portal with yellow sparks appear in the air and through the portal, a familiar face falls through. It's me. Specifically, it's clone Rimuru. He is holding an open coconut in his hand with a straw and paper umbrella in it, wearing Hawaiian holiday clothes with sunglasses. He lands perfectly on his feet, looking around and taking in the sudden change of scenery. I crack my knuckles while walking towards him. Rimuru, you motherfucker. Clone Rimuru, wait. Let me expla, high-pitched screaming. I finish disciplining my clone and dust off my hands. I look down at the battered body twitching at my feet that somehow has a mosaic blur over it. I'm not joking. Even my universal sense can't see past it. Judging by how intensely Ilya is staring at it, she probably can't too. We look at each other before nodding with wise expressions. We shall ignore this and chalk it up to more anime bullshit. I take away the coconut drink my clone brought back from his holiday and start sipping. I frown. Rimuru, I forgot that I don't like coconut. I'm sure some people love it, I just don't personally like the taste. Teleporting it away to a random spatial coordinate, I turn to look at everyone else surrounding me, still sleeping peacefully. I guess I should deal with Bryce once and for all. Third-person POV. Meanwhile, far away, a certain demon lord with platinum pink twin-tailed hair is sitting on a chair, swinging her legs. She is in a bedroom, but it's rather small for a place inside the rather majestic castle that it's located in. Milim, I'm so bored Nanoda. She is currently pretending to be mind-controlled by Clayman to snoop for information about his backer. Unfortunately, she doesn't know that Rimuru already took care of his backer aka Yuki. Right now, she has some time to herself without Clayman around or any surveillance. He has no clue that the mind-controlling item in his possession that he used on Milim had no effect whatsoever. Growl. Milim looks down towards her stomach. Milim, and I'm hungry too. I miss Avalon. I wonder how Gaia is doing. I bet my bestie is doing something fun Nanoda. Ugh. So bored. Out of nowhere, a coconut drink appears out of midair and lands right into Milim's hands. She looks at it with shining eyes. Milim, you're the best, Rimuru. MC POV. Achoo. Rimuru, sniff I bet someone was talking shit about me. Probably some great evil plotting behind my back. I feel a judging stare behind me, but I ignore it and focus on the soul I have stored in my Beelzebub stomach. It's Bryce's soul. Using Beelzebub, I can consume him and get everything he has, but I have a better idea. Only using Beelzebub a bit, I only eat one thing. His main unique skill. Now, with that skill in my arsenal, I speak out a single word. Rimuru, deprive. Instantly, everything was stripped from Bryce's soul, although without his storm crest, there's not much left. Just some lower-ranked skills I already have like, magic sense. There's only one thing I really want from him, in fact. Unique skill, investigator, a skill Ilya thinks contains a fragment of the origin skill, Akashic Records. But that's for later. After I gave Bryce a taste of his own medicine, I look at it one last time, my golden eyes glowing with silent fury and coldness. If I had one regret, I would have liked to see what expression he would have had if he knew what I just did. Unfortunately, he's just a soul, a broken one at that. Really unfortunate. And so, looking away without any expression, I exert my manas and crush his soul. The man named Bryce is no more, forever prevented from reincarnating again. After that, I remove, deprive, and discard it. I have no use for such a skill, nor do I want something that originated from that man. I turn around to look at Ilya, who is currently looking at me with stars in her eyes. Ilya Oniai-chan is so cool. Rimuru. I'm flattered, honestly. But I'm a little uncomfortable with that stare. Maybe because I based her off of Ilya from the Naceverse. I mean, the Naceverse is just a universe filled with edge, and more fucking edge. And I gotta say, I was pretty edgy. A/N, you mean cringe? More time passes as Ilya calms down. Eventually, she takes Investigator and examines it. Ilya, yup. It's got an ultimate skill fragment. Rimuru, really? I'm genuinely surprised. I mean, even Ilya wasn't sure and it was only a guess, but now that it's certain. Rimuru. Ilya, can you fuse with it? Nodding her head, she got to work. Ilya, done. Please Ilya, slow down. My monologue can't keep up with you. Manas, Ilyasvil, has fused with unique skill, Investigate. What? Ilya Oniai-chan. This is amazing. Oniai-chan. This is amazing. What? Hearing Ilya's voice from beside me and in my head as a mechanical voice is a bit weird. Ilya, I have control over the world system. I have control over the world system. What? I need to lie down. Time skipu. Rimuru, okay, so let me get this straight. You fused with Investigator. Ilya, yes. Rimuru, the ultimate skill fragment was indeed the origin skill, Akashic Records? Ilya, yes. Rimuru, and that fragment boosted you to something above a manas, and you called yourself a codex? Ilya, yes. Rimuru, and you said that this gave you control over the world system and the voice of the world as a consequence? Ilya, yes. Rimuru, and now you're theoretically omnipotent, omniscient and omnipresent? Ilya, yes. Rimuru, and I can also become omnipotent, omniscient and omnipresent by fusing with you? Ilya, yes. I sit up on the couch from my laying position. What? You thought I was joking when I said I needed to lay down? And say the only word on my mind at the moment. Rimuru, bruh. Ilya just smiled. And then, with a wave of her hands, the magic happened. Ultimate skill, Ahura Mazda, Lord of Creation, has evolved into Yahweh, God of Creation. Ultimate skill, Skathak, Lord of Runes, has evolved into Odin, God of Runes. Unique skill, Spatial Ruler, and ultimate skill, Beelzebub, Lord of Gluttony, has evolved into ultimate skill, Azathoth, God of Void, alternative. All other skills have been absorbed by Codex, Ilyasvil. And so, I became overpowered to a stupid degree. Inhale. Rimuru, this is big. Like, really big. I'm the strongest in the world. Really? That's what my title says, after all. I guess it makes sense. Ilya herself can be classified as the strongest in the world. You know, omnipotence and all that. But in the end, regardless of how she acts and how independent she is still my skill. Furthermore, even not taking Ilya into account, I'm still very strong, perhaps I would still be the strongest in the world. I have ultimate skills that, in on themselves, are very powerful and versatile. Most importantly, I have infinite magicules to power them. My infinite magicules are my greatest strength and probably my most well-kept secret. Well, that and the fact that I confessed to my high school crush while doing JoJo poses, to which I accidentally ripped the pants I was wearing at the time, revealing my meat bun underwear. That secret is coming with me to the grave. I look back at the status screen hovering in front of my face. Yes, I have a stat screen, while pondering on the changes that just happened. My Dragon Slayer title upgraded to True Dragon Slayer, I've gained 2 new titles, and my ultimate skills. Rimuru, hey, Ilya dash. Ilya, on it. Without letting me finish, she snaps her fingers. Suddenly, all the general information about my ultimate skills pops into my head. Rimuru, please don't do that again. Ilya, yes. I'll switch off my omniscience. I was going to ask Ilya to explain to me all the general information about my new ultimate skills, but it seems she predicted that and just gave it to me beforehand. It was a bit creepy, not gonna lie, so I asked her to calm down on that aspect. Thankfully, she listened and turned off her omniscience. As expected, even if she's a world-ending existence right now, she's still my little sister first. Well, she still has the normal calculation abilities that she had from Amonis, so it's fine. And although she can probably predict any action of mine without omniscience, she doesn't like using 100% of her brain capacity all of the time. I mean, I don't want to deal with her making big brain moves all the time. I can't deal with that. Anyway, back to my ultimate abilities. Whoa. Okay, simple explanation. Yahweh, God of creation, lets me make anything I want. Pretty simple, not much has changed except I can create non-physical things too. By that, I mean concepts and the like. Furthermore, I can create things that make no sense whatsoever. Like, I can create a pea, drop it onto the floor and cause it to make the world explode. It's not a special pea or anything either. It'll be a completely normal pea. Odin, god of runes, is basically scat hack, but on drugs. Again, not much has changed. I mean, both Ahura Mazda and scat hack were incredibly versatile on their own. There's not much you can do in that department. Azathoth, god of void, alternative, on the other hand. Hoo boy. I remember seeing this skill in the web novel, but I haven't read it in years. The alternative must be from its tweaked aspects. Matter consumption, the upgraded version of Beelzebub. It consumes everything, including the target's soul. Turn null, nihility collapse grants access to an immensely destructive energy found in the void between worlds. Can be controlled fully through a Monas/Codex. Imaginary room, chaos world, a dimension made to isolate any and all targets. The upgraded version of Beelzebub's stomach with unlimited space. Space-time control, full control over the aspects of space and time. Works through will alone, so the user simply needs to wish for something to happen, and if it is accomplishable through the manipulation of space and time, it will be done. Multidimensional barrier, an always active, multi-layered barrier. An absolute defense that makes use of world barriers and the void. A/N, I took this directly from the wiki, but I tweaked it a bit here and there. Thank you wiki, you will always be needed. Yeah, it's a lot to take in. Just with this skill alone, I can go head to head with all the true dragons, demon lords, heroes and otherworlders in the world and come out on top. At the same time. I mean, there's not much they can do, I just yeet them all into the void, right? Inhale. Taking another deep breath, I look around me. Rimuru. They're still sleeping. It's almost night right now. The sun is going over the horizon. It's been hours since you guys fell asleep. Please, wake up, eat something, and then you can go back to sleep. Ilya, they probably won't wake up until tomorrow. Ilya says as she pokes Gabble with a stick she got from God knows where. Rimuru ****. Whatever. They deserve it. I say with a defeated smile. I turn around and wave over my shoulder. Rimuru, I'm gonna take a walk, maybe test out my new skills. Be back soon. I feel Ilya nod behind me and I walk out of the house. A few minutes later. Well, fuck. I'm lost. How did this happen? I have no idea. I mean, this is my home, my city. Universal Sense is still working at full capacity, so I honestly don't understand how I got lost. But at least I find myself in a familiar place. I'm on a hill covered with healthy purple wisteria trees. At the peak of the hill is an opening in the trees towards the west, allowing anyone who looks through it to find a beautiful sunset view. Not far away from my position is a pile of stones, a memorial. Said stones are highly compressed magicules that could cause world wars to break out, but anyone who knows why this memorial is here wouldn't dream of taking anything should they risk Ilya, Mikoto, and my anger. This is Shizue's memorial. And standing in front of the memorial is a female figure, staring down at the memorial, with a lost expression. She has long black hair that reaches her back with dark, pale mesmerizing eyes. Under her left eye is a red burn mark, but it looks more like an aesthetic pattern. She is of average height, has black pants that hug her legs, a white shirt that accentuates her chest and a white cape. I pause for a moment before I continue walking, eventually standing next to her. Rimuru, Sue, you've got cat ears. I say as I look at the cat ears above her head that twitch, registering my presence. Her two tails sticking out of her shirt behind her hang limp, matching the emotion on her face. Said tails have their tips on fire, but I think it's a part of her. But she doesn't respond. So I don't say anything either. We both continue to stare at the memorial in silence, the sun nearly completely setting below the horizon. This continues for several minutes before eventually, she speaks. Who am I? Not expecting that question, I look into her eyes which are now looking into mine. Uncertainty and slight fear show within them. Not knowing what to say to this, I open my mouth and say the first thing on my mind. Rimuru, you know, I wanted to ask that exact same question. Like seriously, who is this woman? How did she get in here? I've never seen her before. Name, Rimuru. Race, origin slime. Protection, crest of space. Title, highest tier spirit, leader of the monsters, Oniai-chan, king of Avalon, master of head pats, procrastinator king, the nutcracker, socially awkward cringe slightly Chuyuni slime, true dragon slayer, sensei, world's strongest, overpowered to a stupid degree. Codex, Iliasville. Ultimate skills, Yahweh, god of creation, Odin, god of runes, Azathoth, god of void, alternative. Equipment, Yamato, Shizue's anti-magic mask. I'm standing on the hill next to Shizue's memorial, surrounded by wisteria trees with a beautiful view of a sunset in the distance. Standing next to me is a strange cat girl who looks strikingly familiar. I can't place my finger on who she looks like though, for whatever reason. And right now, she is looking at me with an expressionless face. For some reason, I get the feeling that she's insulting me in her mind. So I take a closer look. I squint my eyes, staring into her familiar face, taking in every detail. And then I realize, this is the same face I always see when I look into a mirror. A name instantly pops into my head, to which I unconsciously mutter it. Rimuru Shizue. But that can't be right. Shizue was the first name that came into my mind, but I immediately dismissed that option. After all, Shizue was older. Around her early 20s. The woman, no, the girl in front of me right now barely reaches her late teens, around 15 years old. Furthermore, Shizue didn't have cat eats or a pair of tails that are burning at the tips. Plus she's dead. The only person, or cat in this case, that I know that has cat ears and a pair of flaming tails is Rimuru Shizu. But Shizu is a fucking cat. Nothing but confusion shows on my face as I repeat the question she asked me first. Rimuru, so, who are you? A/N, MC turned into Kazoo Kid just for this. Releasing a sigh, the girl turns her eyes back towards the memorial and continues to stare at it, confusion and conflict running through her eyes. I don't know. She whispers. She sounds hurt. No, that's not the right word. Disappointed? Tired? Depressed? Perhaps a mix of all of these emotions. Regardless, I think I finally understand what is happening. Rimuru. You got your memories back, didn't you? She didn't say anything, but a nod of her head let me know her answer. Shizu, a hellcat, went through the harvest festival and evolved into a cat girl. Not only that, but it seems she reawakened her memories of her life as a human. So when she asked, who am I, she was really asking. Am I Shizu the cat, or am I Shizue the human? This is something very philosophical. And so, to avoid looking like a dumbass and giving a dumb answer, I ask her a question instead. Rimuru, tell me. Is your name Shizu? Or is it Shizue? She doesn't say anything. So I continue talking. Rimuru, can't decide? Fine. Then you are both Shizu and Shizue. Her ears twitch. Rimuru, tell me. Are you the conqueror of flames? Or are you one of the mascots of Avalon? Once again, she struggles to say something, but in the end, says nothing. Rimuru, no answer. Fine. Then you are both. Once again, her ears twitch. Her tails also begin swaying left and right. Rimuru, tell me. Do you have a tendency for explosions? Or fire? Aren't they the same? I hear her mutter to herself with the slightest trace of a smile on her lips. I also smile. Rimuru, they are the same. Then you like both explosions and fire. I continue asking question after question. Rimuru, are you a hero? Or are you a demonic arts practitioner? Rimuru, do you like normal meat buns? Or fish buns? Rimuru, are you more comfortable as a human? Or a cat? To all those questions, she struggles to pick one over the other. As she struggled, I simply said, no response. Then pick both. To which her cat ears would twitch and her tails would sway left and right. Question after question, I constantly asked her. Questions that make her choose between her life as a human or her life as a cat. And to all of these, she couldn't choose. Finally, even with my enhanced mental capacity, my dumbass couldn't think of any other questions to ask, and I asked a question I already asked before. Rimuru, so, tell me. Are you Shizu? Or are you Shizue? I'm calmly smiling at her on the outside, but internally, I'm screaming. Rimuru, why would you ask the same question again, dumbass? But unexpectedly, her small smile turns into a full one that nearly made me blind from the brightness. It's as if all the weight of the world has been lifted off her. She turns to me, and with the setting sun behind her, this moment became one burned into my memory forever. Shizu, both. I am Shizue and Shizu. Oh my god, I think I'm falling in love. Stop. You have Mikoto. Not letting any emotions show on my face while muttering mantras in my head, I close my eyes, turn around, and start walking away with a smile on my lips. Rimuru, is that so? I teleport away. Shizu turns back towards the memorial made in her honor and finds something sitting on top of it. It's her anti-magic mask. She takes it in her hands and holds it to her chest before turning around and walking away. I find myself back in the living room in my house. Rimuru, inhale asterisk. I didn't look like a dumbass, did I? Ilya, it was cringe, Oniai-chan. -999 emotional damage. I feel a trail of blood leak from the edge of my lips as I clutch my heart. I turn to look at Ilya, who is still sitting on the couch, looking at me with an amused smile. God damn it, Ilya, you were watching. Rimuru. Ilya. Rimuru. Nijirundeo. I teleport out using Azathoth and run away. I can't win a verbal fight against Ilya. Sad face. This time, I just teleport straight into the mirror dimension. This way, I don't need to look for the training site I always used to use to test things out. I then teleport to a random spot around the world. Let's start off with something small. Something like a meat bun. Hours later, I teleport back into my house after my experimentation is finished. And I just stand there, staring into space. Ilya is still sitting on the couch, but this time she is sipping from a bottle of juice. Ilya, sip so. How was the world-ending meat bun? Rimuru. Let's just say that I didn't know the reality was so fragile. Like, how was I supposed to know accidentally dropping the world-ending meat bun would end up ripping through space and time, causing a collapse of the entire universe? Luckily, this all happened in my mirror dimension that was massively reinforced through Azathoth. Well, on the bright side, it turns out that I can create universes now. I mean, normally I can't, but Yamato recently went through a bit of a change. It evolved from a mythical weapon into a Genesis weapon. So, yeah. More importantly, it's morning and everyone is waking up. Back in chapter 178, just as MC was getting a power boost. I sit up on the couch from my laying position. What? You thought I was joking when I said I needed to lay down? And say the only word on my mind at the moment. Rimuru, bruh. Ilya just smiled. And then, with a wave of her hands, the magic happened. Ultimate skill, DJDAN, God of Procrastination, has been acquired. Ultimate skill, Meat Bun ROB, God of Unlimited Power, has been acquired. And so, I became overpowered to a stupid degree. And so, time continued to pass. One by one, everyone eventually woke up. They opened their eyes, looked around while muttering something about an unfamiliar ceiling. They all did that, before eventually setting out on their day. I mean, as much as they would love to just rest for today, they are all important people who have important jobs to do and things to oversee. Even Gabuta and the two Jeffs and things to do. Well, maybe not Cheyenne, but her daily explosions and destruction around the city have sort of became her calling. Although they all unanimously agreed to celebrate their victory with a festival and how everyone can walk away from it alive, technically. But through all this, we had a guest just sitting in the corner. Kirara Mizutani, the only remaining survivor of Pharma's summoned otherworlders. She was captured and put into magicule sealing cuffs before being forgotten. I kind of just left her with everyone else while I dealt with Bryce before forgetting all about her. So she just sat in the corner as she watched me resurrect Cheyenne and heal Mikoto before advancing her into a fucking demon lord. And then she continued to watch as they all proceeded to break down crying before falling asleep. Kirara. So I just sat in the corner hoping no one would notice me so I could live just a little longer. Please don't kill me. I placed a truth rune on her and told her to tell me what happened. And so, through snot and tears, she explained before begging me to spare her life. Everyone else has already left my home aside from Mikoto, Ilya and my clone self who is currently holding an ice pack over his blackened eye. Okay, I know for a fact that he's not actually hurt. But seriously, why the fuck did no one notice Kirara? And more importantly, what should I do with her? I don't feel like killing her, but I'm not just letting her off scot-free either. I also want to punish her. A brutal punishment, something she will be stuck with for the rest of her life and will make her regret ever going against Avalon. I snap my fingers as an epiphany hits me. Rimuru, I know what to do. I quickly grabbed Kirara who is trembling at this point and clone Rimuru before using Azathoth to teleport away, leaving the cuffs around Kirara's wrists behind. I find myself in clone Rimuru's office where he deals with all his paperwork. I look towards Kirara and point towards clone Rimuru. Rimuru, be his secretary. She will now help my clone with paperwork. Ha ha ha. Suffer. One of the greatest punishments I can bestow. Teleporting away, I almost didn't catch Kirara breathing a sigh of relief. Odd. Ah well, I'll deal with her later. A/N, he won't. When I come back, I only find Mikoto inside. She is still in her Tokuwadai middle school uniform, but she's just sitting on a couch while staring at the ceiling with a lost expression on her face. Rimuru, Where's Ilya? Mikoto, she said something about leaving the stove on. Mikoto responds to me with a flat voice. Rimuru. We don't have a stove though. I mean, I just make all our food with my skill. Shrugging my shoulders, I sit down on a couch nearby Mikoto, but not too close. I just feel like she needs a bit of space right now. I create a can of coffee and drink from it. Sip. I finished my coffee. I create a meat bun and start eating it. Nibble. I finished my meat bun. This silence is so awkward. Where is Pikachu when you need her? Mikoto continued staring off into the ceiling. She's been doing this for the past half an hour or so. Yes, I ate my meat bun really slowly. Suddenly, Mikoto opens her mouth. Mikoto, I'm really strong now, aren't I? Rimuru, yeep. I say while popping the pea. Mikoto raises her hand and looks at it. A trail of bluish-white electricity arcs from her forefinger to her thumb. But soon, its erratic motions as it arcs through the air slowly become less and less volatile, becoming just a straight beam connecting her two fingers. Mikoto, calculations that would have taken a lot of mental power became so much easier. My control over my personal reality is also at a whole other level. I feel like I can pull the planet out of its orbit without too much trouble. The beam of electricity connecting her fingers dissipates as she lowers her hand, but she still continues looking at it. There's not a trace of a smile on her lips. Mikoto, but, do I really deserve this? This is something I didn't expect to hear from her. I expected her to be happy with her strength. With this strength, she doesn't need to worry about outside threats at all. She's strong. One of the strongest in the world. So. Rimuru. You're not happy. Mikoto looks up and meets my eyes, taking note of my expression. I'm not bothering to hide my emotions, so I'm showing what I feel right now. On my face is an expression of confusion. No, not confusion. More like anxiety. I'm questioning myself over and over. Rimuru, you didn't want this? Mikoto doesn't respond. She simply squints her eyes, trying to come up with a response. Now, I feel regret. If she didn't want this, then did I just do something unnecessary? Did I ruin her life? Thinking about it creates a sinking feeling in my stomach. My gaze falls. I stare at the fall as what I just did sinks in. I was just trying to help. Mikoto. It's not that. A small whisper enters my ears. I slowly look up towards Mikoto's face again. I see the anguish on her face. Seeing an expression like that, I also feel even worse. The regret in my stomach is increasing. I feel my face contort as my heart twists itself in a knot. But then I see Mikoto's expression of anguish become even worse, mimicking mine. It's as if Seeing me hurt makes her feel hurt as well. A trace of surprise flashed across my face. She feels hurt whenever she thinks I feel hurt. She doesn't hate me. How? I practically ruined her life. I gave her something that is not so easily taken away. Sure, she was going through an evolution even without my help, but she wouldn't have become a demon lord, nor would she have become so strong. I'm the one that pushed her onto that path. I could ask Ilya to take everything away, should Mikoto wish for such a thing, but it doesn't change the fact that I did it, and I most likely hurt her. So if I hurt her... Rimuru, why do you not hate me? As my words enter her ears, confusion passes through Mikoto's eyes. In under a second, her mind begins working, wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Seeing her confusion, I also become slightly confused. Almost immediately, she finished thinking, formulating a response. And she spoke. Mikoto, why would I hate you? Rimuru, Mikoto, It seems we both have some explaining to do. Rimuru, so, you don't hate me? I say, with slight hope in my voice. Mikoto shakes her head in denial as relief washes over me. That means our relationship isn't irreparable. I definitely don't want to break the bond we have. But then, the silence returned. I don't know what to say past this. Mikoto was scared. Fighting Bryce, I mean. I didn't think I could win. I don't say anything. I don't think I should say anything either. So I just listen. Mikoto, I was scared of losing. I was scared of dying. I was mostly scared of someone else dying due to my weakness. In fact, someone did die due to my weakness. I want to say something, to deny her self-deprecating claims, but I don't. It's true. She was weak. Or rather, she wasn't weak, she was just weaker than Bryce. If she were stronger, she could have taken care of Bryce before he got to Cheyenne, before he could hurt anyone else. And that is why I gave her strength. I evolved her into an overpowered existence because I didn't want her to be weak anymore. More than anything, I was also afraid that something like this would happen again. If I didn't give Avalon to Mikoto, she most likely would have died too. Regardless of my powers, I don't want her to go through something like that. I mean, she's main character material, you know? What if she gets ice-kai'd by some ROB before I could resurrect her? Speaking of which, I could probably be considered a ROB myself, with my power levels. Although I can't compare to Meat Bun ROB though. Mikoto. I was also scared that I would disappoint you. It was a whisper, but she purposely let me hear it. Mikoto, you sent me back to Avalon to take care of any threat, but I failed. I had to depend on you again, just like every other time. Now that at the end was a whisper I wasn't meant to hear, but I felt some interference from Ilya that enhanced my hearing for that small moment. Just like every other time, is she frustrated with my help? But I only mean the best. Did she not want my help? She would have died if I didn't step in, maybe I'm misunderstanding something. I don't think Mikoto is suicidal. Okay, what are the facts? Mikoto doesn't hate me. It's not like she hates the strength she has either, but she's annoyed at the fact that she has it. Most importantly, she doesn't want to depend on me. I think. And I think. And I think some more. Using my sped-up perception and enhanced mental capacity, I continue to create theories and throw them away. I mean, most of the theories are just absolutely wrong, but there are a few that stick around. Taking into account her previous actions from the months I knew her, the one that sticks out to me the most is: Rimuru, you don't want to be given everything on a silver platter. That's the conclusion I came to. Judging by how Mikoto flinched ever so slightly, it seems I hit the mark, or at least, I got part of it right. Rimuru, Mikoto. I care for you. You care for me. I want to keep you safe, and as much as I would like to stay around you 24/7, I can't do that without depriving you of your personal space. That is why I gave you your strength. So please, Mikoto, open up to me. Tell me what to do. As much as the words, tell me what to do, makes me look like a simp, I already am though, I said that for Mikoto to tell me what's going on in her mind. But, that might not have been the best words to choose. Standing up spontaneously with tears threatening to spill from her eyes, she shouts. Mikoto, I don't want you to do anything. That wasn't the response I was looking for. Mikoto, again and again and again, you always did what's best for me. What's best for everyone. Sure, sometimes you made a mistake, and we had to deal with the consequences. Images of the burnt-down village of the ogres come into mind. I got lazy and the families of my subordinates died as a consequence, their souls long having dissipated by now. Mikoto. But the things you did for me, for all of us, far outweigh those mistakes. That's why I can't catch up to you. Mikoto's intensity slowly sank. She grits her teeth and could do nothing but look towards the carpeted floor as tears dropped from her eyes at a slow pace, her knuckles whitened from her clenched hand. Those words were vague, yet it seemed as if everything became clear to me now. Mikoto is just looking to prove herself. She doesn't want to be given power, she wants to earn it. Earn it for herself, with her own strength. That way she can prove that she can catch up to me, that she is an equal and not someone to be coddled. Mikoto, you asked me to protect Avalon, but I failed. If you didn't arrive when you did, we all would have died. Even my first evolution was only triggered through Raphael, nothing came from myself. Her words are nothing more than a strained whisper at this point. Mikoto, I don't deserve any of this. Those were her quietest words yet, but I felt the sharpest pain flash through my chest at those words. But she's wrong. Rimuru. I gave you a book a long time ago. A grimoire, you could say. Inside it contained training methods you could use to grow stronger. Mikoto's head sunk even lower. Rimuru, I also gave you that broken, Raphael, core. From what Ilya told me, it's true you wouldn't have evolved without it. I take a deep breath and look straight at her. Rimuru, did you know? Every day since I gave you that grimoire, I always dropped by the experiment site to look at you practice your Esper ability. Every day, for at least a few seconds each time. Every time, I always had the same thought. You are magnificent. So fascinating. So hardworking. Mikoto's clenched fist slowly loosens. Rimuru, I saw you train every day. You never once stopped. You always sought to get stronger. You also sparred with everyone once or twice to measure yourself against them. At first, you were on par with Cheyenne. But recently, I saw you win without a scratch. Her tears stopped. Rimuru, that broken, Raphael, core too. It's literally just that, a broken core. Something useless to me. Yet, you made it work. You used it to grow stronger. I, nor anyone else, told you what to do. With nothing but pure emotions and willpower, you pushed into the mythical level 6. You did all that, not anyone else. Mikoto just stood there loosely, staring at the ground in disbelief. Jingle. Hearing that familiar sound, she looks up. Held gently in my open hand is her Gakoda bracelet. It broke during the fight against Bryce, but I picked up its fragments and fixed it. Although I could have used my skills to easily repair it, I sought to fix it manually, if only for the sentimental value. So I created the necessary tools and restored the bracelet in the mirror dimension before everyone woke up. Rimuru, the power you hold now may not be something you earned by yourself. But you took the first step yourself. Don't say you don't deserve it. I stand up and walk towards her as I continue talking. Rimuru, you don't need to use that power for yourself if you insist on being stubborn. Just keep it as insurance in case another Bryce incident occurs. Continue your path until you can truly call that power your own. I know you'll reach it. I hold out the bracelet towards her. Her brown eyes that crackle with the faintest hint of electricity glance towards the bracelet before staring into my golden eyes. Rimuru, after all, you are my equal. My other half. I grab her wrist and slide the bracelet onto her, the Gakoda accessory shining ever so slightly. Immediately after, however, I feel a tug from my collar. After that, I feel pressure on my lips, Mikoto's face infinitesimally close to my own, her own eyes closed with a healthy blush in her cheeks. I close my own eyes and just savor the moment. My first kiss tastes sweet. Like cookies. Name, Rimuru. Race, Origin Slime. Protection, Crest of Space. Title, Highest Tier Spirit, Leader of the Monsters, Oniai-chan, King of Avalon, Master of Headpats, Procrastinator King, The Nutcracker, Socially Awkward Cringe Slightly Chuyuni Slime, True Dragon Slayer, Sensei, World's Strongest, Overpowered to a Stupid Degree, Mikoto's Equal. Codex, Iliasviel. Ultimate Skills, Yahweh, God of Creation, Odin, God of Runes, Azathoth, God of Void, Alternative. Equipment, Yamato, Genesis. Name, Mikoto. Title, Level 6, Number 3, Tokuwadai's Ace, Strongest Electromaster, Electric Princess, Onisama, for Shirai Kuriko, Varibairi, Sundara, waifu, limitless, Rimuru equal. Equipment, Gakoda bracelet, repaired. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kaioshin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my Patreon. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Nicholas Berenger, Ben Phillips, Yamatancho, Taco TSK, Yuki, Jose Torres. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be here until next time.